What if I told you that Black brilliance built the foundation of modern medicine? This is the story of how Black genius shaped the science that saves us all. And it all began with a woman whose body changed medicine forever, even though she never gave permission. In 1951, a 31-year-old Black woman named Henrietta walked into Johns Hopkins Hospital. She was in pain, just looking for help, but without her knowledge or consent. Doctors took samples of her cancer cells. They soon realized something extraordinary. Her cells didn't die, they multiplied fast. They became the first immortal human cells in history. Those cells, now known as HeLa cells, became the foundation of modern medicine, used in polio and COVID vaccines, cancer treatments, AIDS research, gene therapy, even cloning. Every lab, every biotech company, every university built their science on her body. But Henrietta never knew. She died that same year in pain and poverty. Her family wasn't told for more than 20 years. Meanwhile, Big Pharma made tens of billions of dollars. Her DNA was shared, sold, and patented, while her children couldn't even afford health insurance. It took over 70 years for justice to begin. In 2023, the Lax family finally reached a settlement with Thermo Fisher Scientific, one of the companies that had profited from her cells. Henrietta didn't just give life, she gave immortality and never got a single thank you. But her legacy didn't end there. Decades later, another Black woman would take that same spirit of sacrifice and turn pain into innovation. Before she was Dr. Green, she was a young girl raised by her aunt and uncle, the two people who gave her everything she had. But when they both got cancer, she watched them suffer through painful treatments, radiation that burned skin, chemotherapy that drained life itself. Her uncle was so afraid of treatment that he refused to go. Her aunt wasn't that lucky. She went through it all and still didn't make it. Their pain became her purpose. She made a promise. There had to be a better way. Years later, that promise turned into one of the most revolutionary discoveries in medicine. Dr. Henrietta Nicole Green, one of the brightest physicists alive today, developed a treatment that could make cancer painless. She created laser-activated nanoparticles, tiny particles that attach themselves only to cancer cells. Once inside the body, a gentle laser beam activates them. And with pinpoint precision, they destroy cancer cells without harming healthy tissue. No nausea, no burned skin, no suffering, just targeted healing. She founded the Aura Lee Smith Cancer Research Foundation, named after her late aunt, a nonprofit working to make her therapy affordable and accessible to everyone. She's received millions in grants and recognition from the NIH and NSF, but wealth was never her goal. Impact is. Dr. Green's story proves that Black brilliance isn't just history. It's happening right now. She's turning the deepest pain into hope for millions. And while her name may not yet be in every textbook, her discovery could save more lives than we can imagine. And saving lives has always been part of our story. Because long before modern medicine cared about Black lives, we were saving our own. What if I told you the modern ambulance system, the one that saves millions of lives every year, was born from a small Black community in Pittsburgh in the 1960s? This is the untold story of the Freedom House Ambulance Service. Back then, ambulances as we know them didn't exist. If you were sick or injured, the police might throw you in the back of a wagon, or a funeral home might send a hearse. There was no medical care on the way, just transport. And for Black communities, calling the police wasn't an option, because calling for help could mean danger instead of safety harassment, violence, sometimes even death. So, in 1967, a group of Black men from the Hill District, one of Pittsburgh's poorest neighborhoods, teamed up with Dr. Peter Safar, the white Austrian physician who helped invent CPR. Together, they created something the world had never seen before, the first professionally trained paramedics in history. The Freedom House Ambulance Service turned ordinary vans into mobile emergency rooms, equipped with oxygen, defibrillators, and trained medics. At a time when most people had never even heard the word paramedic, these Black men were already saving lives before patients even reached the hospital. They didn't just transport, they treated. They stabilized. They gave people a chance to live. The results were undeniable. Freedom House paramedics saved thousands of lives and set the global standard for modern emergency medicine. And yet, despite their groundbreaking work, the city eventually shut Freedom House down. Their funding was cut, their contributions erased, and others took credit for inventing the paramedic system they built. But the truth can't be buried forever, because every time you see an ambulance racing through the streets, you're witnessing the legacy of Freedom House proof. Their Black brilliance didn't just change history, it saved it. And that brilliance didn't stop there. In every generation, someone rises who gives the world something it refused to see. Freedom House saved lives, and a woman from Harlem restored sight, literally. A visionary who looked at a world that overlooked her and still gave it back its vision. What if I told you, the gift of sight, something millions regain every year, was made possible by a Black woman the world tried to overlook? Her name was Dr. Patricia Bath. Born in Harlem, 1942, she grew up in a world that told her Black girls weren't meant for science. But she refused to believe that by the time she was a teenager, her passion for medicine was unstoppable. And after becoming an ophthalmologist, one of the very few Black women in the field, she began to notice something disturbing. In eye clinics across America, Black patients were twice as likely to go blind, not because their eyes were weaker, but because healthcare access was unequal, that injustice lit a fire in her. And Dr. Bath developed the concept of community ophthalmology, bringing eye care directly into underserved neighborhoods. She believed that sight was a human right, not a privilege. But she didn't stop there. In 1986, she invented the laser phaco probe, a device that uses laser technology to remove cataracts with precision and speed. Her invention restored vision to millions and revolutionized eye surgery across the globe. She became the first Black woman to receive a medical patent in the United States. And yet, for decades, her name was left out of textbooks. Her achievements overshadowed by men who had done far less. Dr. Bath once said, "The ability to restore sight is the closest thing to magic that a human being can do." Today, every time a cataract is removed by a laser, every time a patient opens their eyes to see the world again, that's her legacy, Black brilliance made visible. But sight was only one part of the miracle. Long before microscopes revealed the secrets of DNA, one Black man was already studying the poetry of life itself. What if I told you that one of the greatest discoveries in biology, the key to understanding how life begins, came from a Black man born in 1883, at a time when America didn't even see him as human? His name was Dr. Ernest Everett Just. Born in Charleston, South Carolina, he grew up just 2 decades after slavery ended. Yet from an early age, he saw something in nature that others overlooked: order, rhythm, and intelligence. While other scientists studied dead cells under microscopes, Ernest studied living cells in motion, watching how they divided, reacted, and adapted. He discovered that the cell isn't just a shell around DNA, it's a living system with an outer layer that controls what enters and exits, how it communicates, and how it survives. That discovery changed everything. It became the foundation of modern cell biology, influencing everything from genetics to cancer research. But during his lifetime, he was denied access to most research facilities because of his race. He couldn't work in white-only universities, so he partnered with European scientists who saw his genius even when his own country refused to. Despite his brilliance, his name was rarely mentioned. Beside the men he influenced, like Watson, Crick, and others who built on his work, he died in 1941, never fully recognized for uncovering one of nature's greatest secrets, that life itself is harmony, not hierarchy. Dr. Ernest Everett didn't just study biology. He redefined it. Even though the textbooks tried to erase him, his fingerprints are on every discovery that came after. Because before the world could map the human genome, he had already found the poetry in the cell. And from the poetry in one cell to the brilliance in countless lives, this is the true story of medicine's foundation. From Henrietta, whose immortal cells built the foundation of modern medicine, to Dr. Henrietta Nicole Green, who's curing cancer without pain, from the Freedom House paramedics, who turned fear into innovation and created the first ambulance system, to Dr. Patricia Bath, who gave sight back to the blind, and Dr. Ernest Everett Just, who decoded the beauty and rhythm of life itself. Every one of them faced barriers built by racism, yet still chose to build something bigger than themselves, something that would outlive them all. They weren't just part of medical history. They are medical history. And their stories remind us that Black excellence isn't just about survival, it's about transformation. So the next time you step into a hospital, see an ambulance speed by, or hear about a new medical breakthrough, remember whose brilliance made it possible. Because when the world denied them recognition, they gave the world healing. And that's the greatest legacy of all. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more untold stories.